Greetings and welcome to Pickled Watermelon Rinds, a guilty pleasure podcast featuring Antie Joan and Ontie, providing our zesty and marginally mature take on current events, pop culture, and trends. Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, Antie Joan.
Hi, Auntie.
How are you?
Fine and dandy. How about your own self?
Oh, just ducky, thanks.
You're welcome.
What's been going on in your world this week, Antie Joan?
Well, I thought it might be time to get my car in for maintenance and
Hallelujah.
yeah.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Well, last year I had my handy dude change the oil and, check out all my
Last
fluids
year?
and
Is that
stuff.
what you just said?
Yeah, but I mean, come on. It was probably 6,000 miles ago. My car is 25 years old and I've got like 164,000 miles on it. And I checked it out. That's like 6,000 miles a year average.
All right. All right. So it's all good now?
Well, sort of.
Uh-oh.
I had them look at the air conditioning because that wasn't putting out a lot of cool air. They did find a leak, but they said it was really hard to determine exactly where it was coming from. But they did the Freon flush and the coolant thing and all that, and they put a dye in. So they said the next time it stops putting out cool air, bring it in and they'll be able to see where the leak is coming from.
And did you try it when you left and was it
Yes,
putting
yes,
out cool air?
yes.
Hey.
And I said, so can this take a while or what? And he said, they've had it where they've come back in after 2 months and 2 years.
Well, for how often you drive, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're going to be in the 2 to 5 year category.
Yeah, during COVID, I go to the gas station months per gallon.
Nice.
Because I went out even less then. I drove even less then.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I like these guys. And 2 years ago when I took it in, there was something going on in the car and I don't remember exactly what it was. And I thought, oh boy, this is going to cost quite a bit. And it turned out it was just like a little battery or something that needed to be changed. And it cost like next to nothing. And I thought, if I had taken this to a dealer, I bet they would have ended up charging me like $600-700. I'll bet. So these guys, I trust them and they're really good.
You going to give them a shout out? Who are they?
Boulder Valley Automotive.
Very nice.
East Pearl Parkway.
I used to take my car over somewhere over there. I don't may have been them. I don't know. They came recommended by somebody I used to work with.
Yeah, well, I looked them up on the reviews on the internets and
I don't know if it's the same place, but it was
Yeah.
inconvenient for me because I was working at the time when I was trying to take it there, and there's no real good bus route over there, and so I think they may have given me loaner cars. I honestly don't even remember. It was so long ago that I used them.
That working, that gets in the way of a lot of stuff, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
You know,
Although you'd never guess people are delaying things based on job hours because you go out anywhere and people are out all over the place now.
That's true.
Drives me nuts.
Companies have gotten more flexible, so if you need car maintenance or doctor's appointments and things like that, they're like, just go do
and
your
don't
thing.
come back.
Come back. Well, come back. But it's usually going back to home. I mean, for some people, it's just going back to their house. It's definitely more flexible than back in the day, which I think is a good thing, honestly.
I had lunch with somebody I used to work with and last week, and she was telling me that company she was working for at the time, they had told her, she was going to be downsized or whatever. And she had like, I don't know, a month or whatever until her job ended. So she was working at home and she said she wrote a program that would move her mouse like every 3 minutes, every 5 minutes, whatever. And she, so, because if you didn't move the mouse, then, your computer would time out or whatever. So anyway, she had this program going, and she'd go out and she'd run her errands and she'd do her laundry and she'd do all this stuff. She was never there but there wasn't much to do towards the end of her
Right.
job anyway. So I thought
Right.
that was pretty cool. I was impressed with her. But she was a programmer,
Well
so
done.
yeah.
Right. Very cool.
So anyway, my car's done. The air conditioner is working. I've got the oral and all that stuff. And so maybe I'll make a trip up to your place one of these days.
Okay.
I
Sounds
do
good.
like the drive up there.
So you
Yeah.
say.
At least going up the canyon. I like going up the canyon.
That is what you have said. Yes.
So what's going on with you, girl?
Well, I have to tell you, I was listening to the Handsome podcast this morning. It's my Thursday morning ritual. Tignataro was telling us that she got grounded through that Microsoft software issue. So her plane wasn't running and she got stuck in Denver.
She did.
She did. And she gave a shout out to Snooze, the breakfast place, because she really liked it. And she said they have one of the best vegan Buddha bowls she's ever had. And she wanted everybody to know about it. And she's like, so I recommend Snooze. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you were here. And I can't believe you were like out and about. And I'm only hearing about this on the podcast.
Well, Snooze is the restaurant in Boulder, right?
Snooze is I don't know if it's only Denver, but it's a local chain.
Okay.
So it started out, the very first one was actually not, she went to the one on Wynkoop, Union Station. But the original one in Denver, I believe, was the one on 20th Street or Park Avenue. Over there somewhere. Now they had the one in Boulder. There's one in Westminster now. There's one at the Orchard. There's quite a few Snoozes across Colorado. Like I said, I don't know if they're in other states as well, but I know that, that they have spread or have opened up new restaurants in the area.
Well, we'll have to try the Snooze in Boulder sometime.
Oh, the Snooze is amazing. I've been to all of those that I just mentioned.
It is?
It is. It's so good. I was kind of disappointed she didn't talk about the vegan pancakes because they're really good.
Well, you should send her an email.
No, but I don't think she had. Well, she didn't have that. She had the Buddha bowl. But
but you could tell her next time.
Casey and I, when we would go to the Snooze, we would get the vegan pancake as an appetizer. Just one.
Oh, and you'd split it.
One, and we'd split it.
I'd be willing to do that.
Well, sometimes we'd get our own. Not gonna lie. Sometimes. And then we got our meals, and they serve cocktails there, so you can get your morning cocktails. They have delicious coffees. Actually, one of the coffees I got was really sweet. It wasn't very good. I was like, oh my God, this is like, I can't drink this. There's so much. I don't know if it was like a pumpkin latte I don't remember what it was, but it was like, I had to add. She came around because when you get regular coffee, they come and do the refill, just like diners and restaurants and stuff like that. And she was coming by with coffee. I'm like, more in here, please. I put it in my latte. She's like, too sweet. I'm like, gosh, next time you should say that you only want half the sweetness. And I said, oh, okay.
Good to know.
I didn't know that was a thing. So, but I usually just either get coffee or a mimosa or an Aperol spritz or something. I don't usually go fancy coffee, but I think others that I was there with were getting fancy coffees. And I said, oh, I haven't had one of those in a long time. I
never get sugar in my coffee.
I never put sugar in my coffee typically either. But if I get a latte, and only if I get like a flavored latte, a regular latte, there's no sugar.
Did I ever tell you about when I first went out to New York? I lived there for a couple of years, and I went to get a coffee, and I went to a neighbor deli thing. And I said, oh, I'd like a coffee. They say, you want it regular? And I said, yeah. So I got the coffee. I went into work. I opened it up. I took a sip and I almost spit it out because it was cream and sugar. Yeah. And I was drinking my coffee black then. I was told by my coworkers, no, regular is cream and sugar. I couldn't believe it. What? Yes. That's not regular.
Back in the day it was, yeah. So Tig was here, and I was kind of sad that we didn't know about it and stalked her.
And I'm surprised she didn't call.
To bump into her. I know, right? I tell you what. And then, unfortunately, this past Sunday was a ginormous weather event in the Northeast, specifically my hometown of
Oh,
Little Oxford, Connecticut, was hit really hard with rain. There's varying reports. The first one I heard was 16 inches of rain within 5 hours. Most of the averages are coming in closer to 12 inches, still a ton of
yeah,
rain.
yeah.
The hometown I lived in, it had it's called the Little River running through the main street, which I call it's our main street, but it's Route 67 is technically what it's called. It's not called Main Street, but it runs the full length of Route 67. It completely turned into a raging,
Wow,
crazy river
wow.
and took out, there was a mini golf place that I wasn't there when I was young, not super young, I guess I should say, like mini golf age. It came probably when I was my early 20s, but I was already out of the house and all that. So I was not living in the town. Anyway, I'd never been there, but it's been there since 1992, 93, something like that. So over 30 years, and it completely wiped out. The building is demolished. The golf area, I mean, you would never even know there was ever golf there.
Wow.
It's just crazy. There was a restaurant that my brother and I both had our very first taste of lobster at when we were 13 respectively, and that has a lot of damage. That one isn't completely wiped out, but it definitely is sat just a little bit lower than the road.
Oh,
So it just got completely flooded, called the Brookside Inn. There was a shopping center that my brother and I used to ride our bikes to. It was halfway underwater, the pictures I saw. And it's just devastating. Two women did die
mm,
in the event. They were both had attempted to be rescued during the event, but unfortunately the water was too much for the firemen to get to them
wow,
before they got
wow.
whisked away, and they were
Oh
found
my gosh.
downstream somewhere, the bodies. It was just terrible. Anybody I still know who lives there is fine. My parents' house, which isn't their house anymore, it's where I grew up, we were up a hill from
Mm,
there. So I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure maybe, got some water, but it should not have flooded. If that water's ever got that high, there's a problem. And get the ark, because the whole world's going under at
yeah,
that
yeah.
point. But it was just devastating to see all these landmarks that I know so well completely underwater. It's sad because Oxford really has been building up over the
Oh,
years. It is a very sought after. When
really?
we moved there, when I was young, I mean, I don't know what the population was. I've never known any of those kind of statistics. I could care less. But it was always a very small town. We had no stoplights. We had no grocery store. We had no fast food restaurants. We had just little mom and pop restaurants sporadically. We had a post office. We did have that. The very first post office was a post office and barber mashed together. It was all in one place. Very small town. We had a bank. It was just tiny, tiny, tiny. And it has really exploded. They have their own pretty decent sized supermarket now, an entire area built up around an Ace Hardware and all that. None of that existed.
Mm.
Oxford Hardware Store was what I grew up with, which got bigger over the years too. When I'm from way back, it was very small, but then really got big
What's
over
the
the years.
nearest big city and or big town
Oh,
and
God.
how far is
That you
it?
would have heard of?
Yeah.
New Haven is probably the biggest city that you've heard of, and that's probably a good 30
Mm,
minutes to New Haven from
mm.
Oxford. You can take back roads to New Haven. You didn't really have to get on major highways, but yeah, it's just a dam completely broke during this in the town technically, but it's in a different location than Route
Yeah, yeah.
67. Just so much devastation there. People and the roads buckled. So the roads were not drivable. Parts of the road just fell. Then they were concerned for the aftermath is how stable are the rest of the roads that
Oh
are
my
still
gosh.
standing? Are they, just ready to collapse at some point? So it's going to be a long time. I did not see any pictures of the new shopping center that I was referring to with the Ace
Mhm.
Hardware and the grocery store and that kind of stuff called Market 32. I don't think it's part of a chain, or maybe it is. I have no idea. Maybe it's something northeast. I don't know. So I don't know how that fared, but it is right along that same road. It is not far from where that little shopping center that I said I rode my bikes to
I saw a thing on the
Oh,
news.
is
They
it?
showed a picture or a video of a house
Mm-hmm.
by a river or whatever, and you could just
Mm-hmm.
watch it crumble
Collapse.
and yeah, collapse and just be washed away. And it was a good size house too. It wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
little tiny thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the videos. I mean, you can look it up on the YouTube, folks, if you'd like to. They're just heartbreaking, just positively heartbreaking. And, it's hard to look at things now. Like, if you didn't know how it looked
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
it's hard to really understand the
Mhm,
magnitude
mhm,
of what happened there. Because that little river, when
mhm.
it was normal, and it was for 50 plus years, nothing like this happened in the 51 years my parents owned a house there. Nothing even close to this ever happened. And I just,
Was that
it's
was that caused
mhm.
by one of the hurricanes going out off the
No, according to my brother, no, but I don't know if my brother is the right source. No offense if you're listening, bro. But because I did ask him that, because there was a hurricane not too far before that
Yeah,
happened a little
yeah.
further south. Ernesto, I think. Auntie Bethy told me Ernesto had come through like the Florida area and was making its way up the coast. And she asked, was this
Mhm,
residuals
mhm.
from Ernesto? And I asked my brother, and he said no.
Yeah, because
But
yeah, I
I
had
don't know.
seen on one of the news things, they were talking about the hurricanes, and this was before, maybe the week before, and they were talking about quite measurable rainfall, and it
Yeah.
was like 10, 12, 13 inches. So that's why I
Mm-hmm.
wondered about that. And it was in
Yeah.
inland. It wasn't on the
Yes.
coast also. So,
Correct.
yeah.
Oxford is not on the coast at all. It is inland. It is very close to Middletown is the middle of the state, and Oxford's probably about 20, 30 minutes from
Boy, what are
Middletown.
the chances of
So
that happening? Naming a town Middletown, and it's right in the middle of the state.
it's smack in the middle.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's awful. Just awful.
It was. And they had no warning. The forecasts leading up to it
Really.
were next to no rain, if any at all. And it just came out of nowhere and caught a lot of people off guard. And it was just awful. Thinking about you folks out
Yeah.
there. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're getting onto the streets at this, can actually leave your houses. If your houses didn't have damage, if your houses did have damage, I hope you're able to rebuild
And
or,
get around.
you
Just,
know, and get
oh my
around.
gosh.
Yeah,
Ugh,
sad, sad,
cleanup on those things too is awful. And
awful. I mean, it's going to take so long to clean that
yeah.
up.
Yeah, and the humidity
So
back
long.
there too doesn't help.
And they were getting more rain.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah, I mean, their rain season is not over yet.
Oh.
Terrible.
Yeah, you don't hear
God
about
help.
floods so much back there, do you? You hear about them like
Mm-mm.
along the
Never. It never
Mississippi.
happened.
You hear about flooding and
Yep.
stuff, but
Yep.
wow.
No. Did have a tornado touchdown. I don't remember the year, 7 to 10 years ago. They uprooted trees and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that. I'm sure caused significant damage, but as we all know, water is such a
Oh
fierce
my
beast.
gosh, yeah.
It was just out of control. Crazy, crazy.
Wow. Yeah, heart goes
Yeah.
out to all the people back there.
Yes, indeed. But on to a funner,
More fun.
more fun topic. We've got a new segment that we're gonna try it out on all of ya. And it's new in addition to not taking the place of any of our other segments, but it is called Auntie Joan's Fun Facts. And what is your fun fact for our listener today, Auntie
Well, a little
Joan?
history first.
Oh, I do love that.
On me.
Oh,
Those of you who don't know,
not so much
no,
then.
those of you who don't
Kidding.
know me, I've been diagnosed with ADD. I can go on and look for something on the internets, and five hours later, I've got a whole wealth of knowledge that has come in and out of my brain, and I just don't know what to do with all this stuff. So I thought, what better place to share this wealth of information I get cruising the internet than on the Pickle Watermelon Rinds podcast? So this particular one, I think she came up in my Facebook page one day, and it's called the Tobacco Smoke Enema. I think somebody found a kit, maybe through eBay or something like that online, and it was a tobacco smoking enema kit. And in this kit, it included like a nozzle, and a bellows, like what you use for your fireplace to get the air going.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing they said is it was used for drowning victims. And what they would do is they would fill this tobacco smoke enema thing with the tobacco smoke and then blow it, you know.
Where, Auntie Joan?
Well, in the rectal area, it's an enema. And supposedly, it would reanimate some of these people. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, and this is where the term blowing smoke up my ass comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's something worth knowing.
Having that mental image in your head the next time somebody says that to you.
But you never knew. Where did that come from? It made no sense. But it kind of did in a way. And then now when you hear this, it makes total sense. These smoke enemas were often used, the liquid tobacco were used to treat hernias. So maybe next time, Auntie, you've got a hernia. Oh, no.
Never had a hernia.
Oh, I'm thinking hemorrhoids.
Yes. I won't be using a tobacco smoke enema for that.
But they would use it for things like cancer, headaches, respiratory problems, stomach cramps, gout, intestinal worms, and female diseases. Now, this was just tobacco that they would use for it. Blowing the smoke up the ass was a drowning remedy. So the next time you're going to the beach or the pool, make sure you bring along your tobacco smoke enema kit just in case. Wise words from Auntie Joan.
That is a fun fact, Auntie Joan.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to get the picture of this kit in my head.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you said there's a tube.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the
bellows.
Oh, so they put the smoke into the billow?
Well, I didn't do.
See, I'm trying to understand how the smoke is getting in this tube.
I'm thinking maybe what they do is they have the tobacco burning and they put the pipe into the smoke to get it into the bellows and then transfer it over to your target and then blow it in.
Well, I just don't understand why they bothered with the tube. Why not just stick the end of the bellows right on up in there?
Well, maybe so. Well, of course, now if you're going to put it in towards a fire, you want to be careful you don't burn the bellows. I don't know.
No, I mean into your ass.
I know. Oh, that would burn, wouldn't it?
I got a hot poker up your ass.
That's another one. Don't stick a hot poker up your ass. Anyway.
Well,
now you know where the term blowing smoke up your ass comes from.
Yes. It's good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you.
And tune in next week for another Auntie Joan fun fact.
Sounds good.
Stuff you've been dying to know or question. Where did that come from? Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're on to the part of our program where we discuss what we are watching. And this week, we're going to go retro on you in preparation for a sequel release coming down the road here. So we're going to talk about Beetlejuice 1988.
Yeah, 36 years ago.
That tells you what. I was 18, graduating high school. Yeah, that was happening when Beetlejuice came out.
And oh my gosh. Oh, I turned 40. Wait.
Oh, yes, you did.
1988. Yep. Yeah, I turned 40 that year.
Yeah.
Wonderful year.
Mm-hmm. Fun. Mm-hmm.
Quit smoking.
Very good.
Dropped my 2+ pack a day habit.
Nice. And all because of Beetlejuice.
Yep, exactly. I didn't want to end up like him.
The ghost with the most, babe. So, yes, Beetlejuice is a fun movie. If you haven't seen it, well, shame on you. It's been out for a long time.
Yeah, it's 40 years.
You really need to watch it. It is free on the Max right now if you have a Max subscription. Do watch it because part 2 is coming out on September 6th. It hits the theaters. So, very excited. Auntie Joan and I will go see that one in person in a movie theater, and we will definitely be providing our take on that movie once it's available to us.
Yes. Yes.
But in the meantime, we thought it'd be fun to reminisce about the oldie but goodie, the original Beetlejuice, with Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Alec Baldwin, Gina Davis, Catherine O'Hara, and some guy I can never remember his name.
Robert Goulet was in it.
Yes, he had a brief
Dick
part.
Cavett was in it.
Brief parts, yes. But Jeffrey Jones and Glenn Shaddix
Yeah.
as Otho. Fun. The premise is that Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis's characters pass away because of a little dog, oddly enough, runs out in front of their
Yeah.
car when they're going over a covered bridge, and they swerve to get out of the way, ended up breaking through the bridge and into the a little river. They don't realize they're dead at first, and it's all about them coping with themselves being dead, and then new people moving into their home, and that's where
Winona Ryder.
that's her, and Catherine O'Hara and Jeffrey Jones's characters move in. They're a family that is moving in. They're from the big city of NYC. They never really say where this house is, but if I had to guess, I would say it would have been New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, somewhere.
Oh, interesting.
That would have been my guess. Could be wrong, but regardless, and they're remodeling it, and the ghosts don't like it, and they can't see the ghosts, and the ghosts try and scare them, but they can't see them, so they're not really scaring anybody. And then all of a sudden, it come to find out Winona Ryder, who's very, very young. I don't know if this was one of her first movies. I gotta believe it was. Is the only person who can see them. Then they're also trying to figure out how they move on. They are sequestered to the house as ghosts, and every time they leave or attempt to leave the house. I never understood this part. And I watched it again today just to refresh before we got on this call to see if maybe I missed something or they explain it somewhere. But it almost seems like when they walk out the door, they go into this other world, and it's not a nice world. I don't know if it's trying to replicate hell, but I'm like, but they were good people. So what, if they leave the house, they go to hell? Like, I don't understand what it was supposed to mean.
When I was trying to remember it in my head, that was what I first thought was that was hell that they were going to with the waiting room and all that stuff.
No, I'm not talking about there. I'm talking about when you walk out the door of their house, not the door that they drew on the wall. Right. Actually, one of the doors of their house, and they had that serpent that came through and all that. The hell was that supposed to be?
You mean later?
No.
That was
it happens
the
like
serpent?
Where the serpent's coming through the sand. It's the sand, and it's all this funky stuff.
Oh, I don't remember that part.
Well, it happens more than once in the movie.
And I just watched it last night.
I know. That's why I'm a little concerned.
Well, I had other things I was watching. I mean, in relation to that.
Yes. It happens a few times. So anytime they walked out like the front door of the house, like when they first realize they get home and the fire, so they die.
Yeah.
They walk through their front door and they get in. They're like, well, I don't remember there being a fire in the fireplace before we left. And then they realize, in Alec Baldwin's character was like, do you ever remember how we got back to the house? I want to go back and retrace my steps. And he walks out the front door and he ends up in this place that's all sand. And it's got this serpent that's coming through. That's what she rides in on at the end to kill Beetlejuice. Spoiler, again, it's almost a 40-year-old movie, folks, if you haven't seen it on you. But where Gina Davis rides in on that serpent at the very end and kills Beetlejuice or sends him back to wherever. That's from the sand place.
Oh, okay.
Because Beetlejuice exiled her to the sand area. When he first put the stuff over her mouth so she wouldn't say his name, he exiled her to there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't understand what this place is. Is it supposed to be hell? Is it supposed to? But they were portrayed as really good people. I mean, Gina Davis was wearing a goddamn dress while she was doing stuff around the house. It was in 1988, folks, people were not still doing that. I don't know why they portrayed her wearing a dress, doing housework. That was not the case. We were well beyond that.
Interesting you mentioned that, because I remember there was a group of women of a certain age who would wear little dresses like that. Now, maybe not around the house, but I remember one woman saying that type of dress was that generation's equivalent to the old house dress that the women from the 40s used to wear. Just my 2 cents here.
Okay. But
Yeah.
at that point, Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin were like in their 20s.
Oh my gosh, he looked so young. See, I
So
think that's why
young.
I missed a lot,
So
is I was
thin,
so
so
focused
young.
on, yes, how thin and young he was. Gina Davis, you don't see much with her anymore either. That's too
No, it's too
bad.
bad.
She was so cute.
So cute. Yeah, so it was like bizarre. I mean, she had tights on and flat shoes and this Holly Hobby dress thing that 20-year-olds in 1988 were not wearing, folks. I don't know what that was about.
What were they wearing in 1988?
Just jeans and, normal
Oh, okay,
shit.
okay.
Like, so it was really quite bizarre. But regardless, so that was the only part that really has always confused me. I again watched it again today to see if maybe I missed something, and I just don't know what that sand place is supposed to
Mm.
emulate, and I don't quite get it. Apparently, folks, in Tim Burton's mind, when you die, you get a book on how to be dead, and I thought that was pretty funny. I'm like, oh, there's a handbook. That's helpful. What was it called?
For the recently deceased.
Thank you.
Handbook for the recently deceased. Or as Alec Baldwin says, the recently diseased. See, I remember that stuff.
Oh, yeah, all Alec Baldwin stuff, you horn
Just a
dog.
little tiny stuff. But throw me in a big pile of sand and it's, yeah.
Apparently.
Well,
Then Winona Ryder, of course, really bonds with the
because she's the one
ghosts,
who can see
and
him.
right. And so she, wants them to be her parents, and she wants to be dead to be
Mhm.
with them. And of course, Gina Davis's character was never able to have children, so she was kind of taking Winona Ryder's character under her wing, and of course didn't want her to kill herself just so she could
Mhm,
become a
mhm.
ghost with Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin's characters. And Beetlejuice is kind of Michael Keaton was the actor, and honestly, I couldn't think of anybody better for that role if you tried. So his character was to help them try and get the family out of the house. He was extra scary. He was going to, that's how he had like little ads that he would leave for them on, that he was a ghost that could help them exile the living from their home and things like that. He's ridiculous. He's a con artist and he's a very, very bad ghost. And you have to say his name 3 times for him to appear. That's how bad he is. Somebody put some kind of curse on him that the only way he can come back or truly interact with the newly dead or the living is if you say his name 3 times. So it's always Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. And I do like how they're doing, they're promoting the second Beetlejuice. They're calling it, I mean, it is called Beetlejuice
Uh-huh.
2, but a lot of times they're calling it Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I'm like, oh, does that mean there's going to be a third one? Because that would be awesome.
That's when the shit goes down.
Yeah. It's a silly, fun ride. Lots of, so it's quirky and weird because it's Tim Burton.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it's got good actors in it. The dance scene at the dinner table too. Daylight
Dale,
coming, me wanna go home.
Dale,
Dale,
daylight to come and me
Dale.
want go home.
We're on totally different verses. Why didn't you chime in with me?
Because I didn't want to pick up in the middle.
So you just start
Yeah,
singing over
yeah.
me instead.
Dale.
All right. Good, silly fun. It gets a little dicey there when Alpha is trying to send the ghost back or get the ghost to cooperate, and they actually start dying. And that's when Winona Ryder goes and gets Beetlejuice. And he comes in and helps, but then he, of course, expects to be paid. Quid
Oh
pro
yeah,
quo.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
nothing is
yeah.
for free. So because he helped, he then thought he was entitled to marry Winona Ryder. And then Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin step in to be the heroes that save the day. So Winona Ryder doesn't actually have to marry this grotesque Beetlejuice character. Michael Keaton eats bugs throughout this. He snorts his snots back, which is vile and
Yeah, and
disgusting.
hurls a loogie inside his coat and says, "I'll save that for later." Ugh.
Yeah. He's over
Yeah,
the top
yeah,
in this. I think back in the day, I thought he overacted it a bit, but honestly, the character warranted it.
yeah.
It was expected to be an over the top performance, and it certainly was. So I think I may have been a little bit more critical of it when I was younger, and now I can appreciate just how silly it is, and I love it. And I like Winona Ryder. I've always liked her in things. She's always been in
Hmm,
quirky, fun
hmm.
movies,
Boy, they did a good
and
job
yeah.
of making her look like a strange kid with the dark circles under her eyes. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember
Mm-hmm.
when I first saw it, I thought, oh man, she is some kind of creepy kid. But watching it last night again, I thought, no, she's okay. I like her.
I think it's because it really was one of her first roles. So we didn't know her well back then
Mm,
when it
yeah,
first
yeah.
came out. You know what I mean? So we're just like, what the hell is this? Now it's like, oh, yeah, no, it makes sense. I'm just
She
looking
was
up to see.
17. I looked it up already.
Well, her first movie was Lucas. Her second movie was Square Dance. Her third movie
Okay.
was
And she was
Beetlejuice.
17 years old.
Yeah. So it was one of her first movies. So all the other ones that we know her for, like Heathers and Edward Scissorhands and Mermaids and everything else she's done since then, was after Beetlejuice. So it was one of the more mainstream movies she had ever done. So she was weird, very weird
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
to us. It was probably one of Tim Burton's first
Probably,
movies
probably.
too. I didn't look that up, but it could have been. So we weren't used to that
Well, he has a definite
quirkiness
style
quite
too,
yet.
doesn't he, Tim Burton?
He
Yeah.
sure does. The only person that was missing from that
I
was
I
Johnny
was just
Depp, who's in
thinking
almost
that,
all of
yeah.
Tim Burton
And I guess
movies.
there was speculation with the second one that he was going to have Johnny Depp in it. Yeah, I know.
No, he didn't make the list unless it's a surprise appearance that we're not expecting. But Alec Baldwin's not in the
Mm-mm,
new
mm-mm.
one. Gina Davis isn't in the new one. The father that I don't know, I can't remember his name, Jeffrey, whatever the hell I said it was before. He's not in the new one. Otho isn't in the new one. Jeffrey Jones and Glenn Shaddix are not in the new one. So that's again, maybe they'll make cameos and they're just not listing them in the credits because they want everybody to be surprised. I don't know, but that was a little sad. I really was hoping Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin would have been in there
Yeah, I
somewhere.
know.
But I wonder if for their characters specifically, because they were ghosts, clearly they've aged because they're actors and they're humans and they aged. So maybe it's because they couldn't preserve how they looked.
Yeah.
Like if they had filmed their parts back in 1988 for a potential sequel, you know what I mean? Then that may have worked.
I did
But
look it up about there was somebody asked Gina Davis why she wasn't in the second one, and she said, well, because she thinks it's because ghosts don't age, and that was her
yeah.
take on it. I didn't read much more of the discussion, so I don't know if there was something
Hmm.
else that came up. One thing I did discover is Michael Keaton was
Mm.
not the first choice to play Beetlejuice.
Mm.
Who was the first choice, supposedly, will probably blow just about everybody's mind. It was Sammy Davis Jr. Now, some of you
Hmm.
may be saying, who's Sammy Davis Jr.? Well, you got to look him up. Yeah, he was a well
Yeah.
rounded entertainer, especially in the 60s and 70s. He was pretty well known.
Yes.
Part of the,
Yes. He
yeah,
was part
part
of
of
the
the
Rat Pack, wasn't
rat
he?
pack. Yeah. And I guess Sam
Yes.
Kinison and somebody else were also thought of as possible Beetlejuices.
Oh, Sam Kinison would have annoyed me. I wouldn't have liked the movie. I was never a big fan of
Yeah, me
his.
either. Me either.
All the yelling. All
Yeah.
the yelling.
Yeah.
I didn't, unnecessary.
Now, I did also do research a little bit before we went on here about Beetlejuice, and there's speculation that he actually built that hardware store. The scene when they first go into town, when Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin first go into town, and you see them go into that hardware store, and next to it is the barber sitting out on the front
Mm-hmm.
porch talking to whoever will listen to him. They were saying that they thought that Beetlejuice, the character, had actually built that hardware store back in the 1800s or something. And he ended up dying, and his ghost was trapped in there in the little model town that Alec Baldwin had built. In their attic? Was that in the attic he built that, or in the basement? In the attic.
Attic.
So a lot of times when they show the scenes with Beetlejuice, it's actually in that model. When you see the grass, remember the grass is all nubby, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought they did that pretty well.
But I still don't understand the correlation to the hardware store.
Oh, well, that he was part of the history of the town. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't go too far in. I read some of it and time was running out, so I didn't get to read the whole thing.
Gotcha. Hmm.
But there is some tie between him and the history of the town, and he didn't just come from anywhere. And people have picked up aspects of it through, how some people are. They'll watch a movie and they will find out every little thing, every little innuendo that's planted in there or supposedly planted, and come up with all kinds of theories about stuff. That's what makes it interesting too,
Mm-hmm.
at least for me.
Sure.
So we're looking forward to Beetlejuice too. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
For sure. I think it's going to be fun, and it'll be good to
Mm-hmm,
see
mm-hmm.
Michael Keaton reprise his role and see what they do with Winona Ryder's character. Oh, and we get to see Jenna
Oh,
Ortega
yes,
in the new one.
yes.
That'll be, and Justin Theroux's in it, and so is Willem Dafoe.
Ooh, Willem Dafoe.
How they got these folks in here,
Willem
I'm
Dafoe's a
just,
perfect person for that.
I think it's going to be a fun ride. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jenna Ortega is going to be Winona Ryder's
Now,
daughter.
maybe, but there was some speculation too. Remember at the end when Winona comes home from school, she's past her math thing, and then she ends up doing that, dance thing.
Mm-hmm.
But downstairs, her parents are, and they
Mm-hmm.
hear the music. So they say, oh, Lydia must have passed her math exam or something like that. And it's like Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis's character do take over the parental job with her. So there was speculation that perhaps Winona Ryder's character actually did die at the end of the movie. And that's how come she was with them and they were dancing up the staircase thing. Yeah. Like I say, I mean, people get so much out of these things.
Well, I just thought you were going to try and tie in the Jenna
No,
Ortega
no.
conversation, but then you went something
Well, I
totally
didn't go
different. So
totally
I was like,
different. I
oh.
wanted to make sure I got my stuff in.
Oh,
Jenna
gotcha.
Ortega would be perfect.
Gotcha.
Oh, well, the tie-in is that if Winona Ryder's character did die at the end, she wouldn't have had a child.
Well, it certainly wasn't going to be Catherine
No,
O'Hara's
no,
child.
maybe.
And they have the same last name as far as
Well,
the characters.
maybe there'll be somebody else taking over. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh boy,
Jenna Ortega was not even thought of in
Boy, she
1988.
looks like the perfect daughter, though, for Winona Ryder, doesn't she?
If you haven't seen the 1988 version, do make an effort to watch that before you go see Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
And then tune in to Pickle Watermelon Rinds to find out exactly what it is, the new version, to get our take on it. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're on to the part of our program where we discuss commercials we have to talk about. Auntie Joan, what you got?
Well, I don't know where I saw this, but I thought this is something we definitely have to talk about. It's the release of Will Levis No. 8, manufactured or produced or inspired by Hellman's Mayonnaise. Who would have thought somebody would come up with creating a parfum based on mayonnaise? Well, I guess Will Levis went along with it because supposedly he's a big fan of mayonnaise. He likes to put it on everything, as the commercial shows. He'll put it on anything and everything. It's also, when questioned about what the smell is like, they say it combines hints of tart lemon, coffee, musk, vanilla, and something the company is calling mayonnaise accord, whatever that is. This thing has sold out twice already, and it ain't cheap. I've seen it on eBay for over $40.
I gotta believe it's being given as gag gifts for most of it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. That's a pretty expensive gag gift, if you ask me. I'm dying to find out what it smells like. I'm not going to pay $40, $50 for it, but it'd be worth it for somebody else to pay for it. Commercial's kind of cute and funny. I had no idea who this guy is.
No, me
I
either.
guess he's a Tennessee Titans quarterback. That must mean he plays football. Yeah. He's just a big, big fan, like I say, of what caused this whole thing to start, supposedly, is somebody said that he put mayonnaise in his coffee.
Are we talking about the quarterback or are we talking about
The
the.
quarterback.
Okay. Is that his name, Will Levis?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. That's the connection.
Yeah, so he went viral for his it says Levis worked with both Hellman's and an unnamed perfumer to develop the fragrance. And this isn't Levis's first mayo related moment. Last summer, he went viral for his habit of squeezing Hellman's into his coffee. And then he later clarified that he didn't actually drink coffee with his mayo, calling it a stupid thing, but he thought it was funny, and that he actually preferred his coffee served with one cream and one sugar. So it's false advertising. There you go. All this based on a lie,
Huh.
but they're probably making pretty good money on it. So
Well, now that we understand that he's a professional football quarterback, that's another reason why it's selling.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I suppose football fans know who he is. It's like, what's her name's boyfriend that I'd never heard of? You know, that singer, Taylor. What's her
Taylor
name?
Swift?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I had no idea who her boyfriend was, but then, I don't watch football. I don't care about it.
Right.
So if you've tried Will Levis, number 8, give us a shout out and let us know what you think about it.
Yes. And for those that don't know, Hellman's and Best Foods are the same company. I don't know why they have different names in different parts of the country. It makes no sense to me. But I was a Hellman's girl back in the day, back in the Northeast. Came out to Colorado and I was like, uh-oh, I can't get my Hellman's. And then my parents are the ones that told me Best Foods and Hellman's are the same thing. And I'm like, really? Well, good to know. And sure enough, it's the same. So, but I never researched as to why they have two different names based on the part of the country you're in. Especially this long. I mean, could see if there was like a merger at some point. They're like, okay, to keep our client base, we're going to make sure we have the different names, whatever, the different names. But at some point, why wouldn't you just merge it all into one? But then you got like Kroger and King Soopers and all that crap, which again, I don't understand why they do that either. Like, just call it Kroger. Maybe it's something about not having a monopoly. They think they're faking us out by having two different names. I don't know. I don't get it.
Hey, isn't Albertsons and Safeway the same?
Now they are. They used to be separate, but they are the same now. Yep.
And now Kroger and Albertsons are talking about merging.
Correct.
But the government doesn't want them to.
Again,
could you imagine?
It would be a monopoly thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it would be. I don't want them to merge.
No.
I don't care about Albertsons. Now are all renamed Safeway. The one in Louisville is Safeway now. That was It's still the same. They still have the same rotary checkout stands that the Albertsons was known for. That still remains at the now named Safeway location in Louisville. But yeah, I prefer Safeway to King Soopers, but I also like the competition because there is times where I will go, well, if Safeway doesn't have it, King Soopers probably does, and I'll go over there. So them merging would just mean it'd be all the same, and then they'd close stores that I probably go to, what a pain, because Kroger would likely win.
Without the competition, the prices and all that stuff.
I don't know. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, the commercial is really funny, folks. I think you'll enjoy it. He's trying to be all sensual and sexy about mayonnaise cologne. It's pretty funny. It did remind me a lot of Merman from Zoolander. And if you don't know what that is, well, do watch Zoolander because it's a fantastic movie. The way they whisper throughout, like they're just being so sexy.
Well, the pursing of the lips is what gets me. I hate that on a man.
You hate what on a man?
The pursing of the lips.
Yes.
There's a couple actors that do that. And one of them is Damian Lewis, Billions.
Oh, I never saw that.
I didn't either.
Oh.
But I remember seeing the teasers for it stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And the other one that does it is the guy that played Agent 007.
Which one?
The last one.
Daniel Craig?
Yeah, he's another one that does that.
Oh.
I know it's we all have our little things that bother us. That's one thing I have so much trouble with is that pursing of the lips on a man. I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it.
I think we just got another fun fact out of Auntie Joan.
What, pursing of the lips?
No, that you hate that on a man.
Oh. So let's just hope that Hellman's doesn't come out with a hair cream. Can you imagine that commercial?
Ew.
Taking that Mayo type hair cream and, combing it through the hair.
Bet your hair would be
Mm-mm-mm.
really soft after that.
And it would smell so good.
So good.
And then you go out for a hike or something and you got the flies and bugs,
Hell, you got the
swarming
bears.
around you. Oh, yeah, that too.
We thank you for listening. And remember, when life eats away at your core, make pickled watermelon rinds.